MMA fighter mocks the Rock's family at a high-stakes fight and gets schooled. The Tokyo skyline glittered like a sea of stars as the Johnson family stepped out of their chauffeured SUV. Dwayne, "The Rock" Johnson, his wife Lauren Hashian, and their daughters, Jasmine, 9, and Tiana, 6, were buzzing with excitement. This was their first family vacation in Japan, a rare escape from the Hollywood spotlight, the relentless film schedules, and the constant hum of the Rock's global empire. Tonight, they were headed to the Saitama Super Arena for a sold-out MMA event, a treat for the Rock, who'd always been a fan of the sport's raw, unscripted intensity. Front row seats, a bucket of popcorn for the girls, and the promise of a night to remember. It was perfect. Inside the arena, the atmosphere crackled. The crowd, a mix of die-hard fight fans and curious tourists, pulsed with energy as the prelims unfolded. The octagon gleamed under harsh lights, the canvas stained with the sweat and blood of earlier bouts. The Rock, his 6'5" frame wedged into a seat that seemed comically small, leaned forward, analyzing every move. Lauren, radiant in a casual black sweater, nudged him playfully. "You're geeking out, aren't you?" she teased. He grinned, his trademark charisma lighting up his face. "Guilty. This is my kind of night." Jasmine and Tiana, perched on either side, munched popcorn, their eyes wide as fighters traded blows. The main event was the talk of the night. Kaito, the Blade Tanaka, a 28-year-old Japanese prodigy with a 15-1 record, against Marcos, the Hammer Silva, a grizzled Brazilian veteran. Kaido was a hometown hero, known for his blistering kicks and a ground game that left opponents tapping or unconscious. His cocky demeanor and sharp trash talk had made him a polarizing figure, but his skill was undeniable. The crowd chanted his name as he strutted to the cage, his eyes glinting with arrogance. The fight was a massacre. Kaito toyed with Silva, dodging his heavy punches with ease, before unleashing a barrage of leg kicks that left the Brazilian limping. In the second round, Kaito landed a spinning back fist, followed by a knee that crumpled Silva to the mat. The referee dove in, waving it off as the arena erupted. Kaito climbed the cage, pounding his chest, his scream drowned out by the deafening roar of 20,000 fans. The Rock stood, clapping, genuinely impressed. "Kid's got moves," he said to Lauren, who nodded, though her eyes lingered on Kaito's smug grin. "He knows it, too," she muttered. As the announcer declared Kaito the winner, the fighter snatched the microphone, his breath still heavy, sweat streaming down his face. The crowd hushed, expecting a victory speech, a thank you to the fans. Instead, Kaito's gaze zeroed in on the front row, locking onto the Rock. A venomous smile spread across his face. Well, he sneered, his voice cutting through the arena. "Look who we have here. Dwayne Johnson. The Rock. Mr. Hollywood himself, sitting pretty with his little picture-perfect family." The air shifted, the crowd's excitement curdling into unease. The Rock's smile vanished, his jaw tightening. Lauren's hand found his, squeezing hard. Jasmine and Tiana looked up, confused, sensing the tension. Kaito paced the octagon, his voice growing louder, sharper. "You think you're a tough guy, huh? With your fake muscles, your fake fights, your fake life. You're nothing but a clown in a tank top, pretending to be a man. And what's this?" He gestured at Lauren, his sneer twisting. "Your wife, sitting there like she's some queen. She's just a gold digger, riding your fame. And those kids. Pathetic. Just props for your Instagram posts." The crowd gasped, a ripple of shock spreading through the arena. Some booed, others cheered, feeding off Kaito's audacity. Lauren's face flushed, her eyes blazing, but she stayed composed, pulling Jasmine and Tiana closer. The Rock's hands clenched into fists, his knuckles whitening. He'd faced insults before, keyboard warriors, jealous rivals. But this was a new low. This wasn't just about him. It was about the woman he loved, the daughters who were his world. His pulse pounded in his ears, every muscle in his body screaming to act. Kaito wasn't done. He leaned over the cage, pointing at the Rock, his voice dripping with contempt. "You're a fraud, Johnson. A walking joke. Your whole career's built on lies. Wrestling's fake. Your movies are fake. Your tough guy act is fake. You wouldn't last 10 seconds in my cage. You're too soft, too busy playing daddy to those spoiled brats. Go back to your private jet and leave the real fighting to men like me." The arena exploded. The crowd split between Kaito's loyal fans chanting his name and others stunned by the vitriol. Lauren leaned into the Rock, her voice low but urgent. "Dwayne, don't let him get to you. He's baiting you. We're here for the girls." Jasmine's voice trembled as she tugged her dad's sleeve. "Why's he being so mean, Daddy?" Tiana's lip quivered, her eyes welling up. The sight of his daughter's fear lit a fire in the Rock's chest, one he hadn't felt since his wrestling days. He stood, his massive frame casting a shadow over the front row. The crowd's noise swelled, sensing something historic. The Rock's voice boomed, cutting through the chaos without a microphone. "You got a big mouth, Kaito. You want to talk about my family, my wife, my kids. Say it to my face, right now." The arena shook, the chants of "Rock, Rock, Rock," drowning out Kaito's supporters. The fighter laughed, unfazed, and leaned closer to the cage. "Oh, you want to play hero? Step up, tough guy. I challenge you, right here, tonight. Let's see if you're man enough to back up your pretty words, or are you gonna hide behind your wife's skirt?" Lauren's grip tightened on the Rock's arm. "Dwayne, please. This isn't worth it. Think about the girls, the headlines." He looked at her, his eyes softening for a moment, then at Jasmine and Tiana, who stared up at him, scared but trusting. He knelt, pulling them into a quick hug. "Daddy's got this," he whispered, kissing their foreheads. "Don't be afraid. I'm gonna show this guy what family means." He turned to the octagon, his decision made. "You want me, Kaido. You got me. Let's do this." The crowd lost it, the noise seismic. The promoters, caught off guard, scrambled into action. This was insanity, an unsanctioned fight between a global superstar and a professional MMA fighter. But it was also a goldmine. Within 15 minutes, they'd drawn up a basic contract, secured a referee, and cleared the cage. The announcer, barely containing his excitement, hiked the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, in an unprecedented moment, Dwayne 'The Rock' Johnson will face Kaito, the Blade Tanaka, in the octagon." The Rock peeled off his jacket, revealing a physique that at 53 was still a marvel minus 260 pounds of chiseled muscle, honed by years of discipline. He stepped into the cage, the crowd chanting his name like a battle cry. Kaito bounced on his toes, smirking, certain he'd lured a washed-up actor into a public humiliation. But the Rock was no stranger to combat. He'd wrestled in front of millions, trained with UFC champions, and carried a mental toughness forged in the fires of a hardscrabble youth. This wasn't WWE. This was real. And he was ready. The bell rang. Kaito exploded forward, his speed blinding. He fired a low kick, catching the Rock's thigh with a crack that echoed. The Rock grimaced but stayed upright, his size a double-edged sword, hard to move, but a big target. Kaito danced around him, peppering him with jabs, his taunts relentless. "Too slow, Hollywood. Go back to your movies." Another kick landed, this one to the Rock's calf, and the crowd gasped. Lauren clutched the armrests, her heart in her throat. Jasmine buried her face in her mother's lap, whispering, "Is Daddy okay?" The Rock absorbed the punishment, his eyes locked on Kaito. He'd taken worse in wrestling rings, in football drills, in life. He ducked a high kick, closing the distance, and grabbed Kaito in a clinch. The crowd roared as he used his strength, slamming Kaido against the cage with a force that rattled the steel. "You talk about my family." The Rock growled, driving a knee into Kaito's midsection. "You're gonna regret that." Kaito squirmed, landing sharp elbows to the Rock's ribs, each one drawing a grunt. Blood trickled from a cut above the Rock's eye, staining his face. Lauren's voice broke through the noise, sharp and desperate. "Dwayne, be careful." Tanaka stood on her chair, tiny fists clenched, shouting, "Get him, Daddy. You can do it." Kaito broke free, his face flushed with fury. He threw a vicious combination. Jab, cross, low kick, catching the Rock's cheek with a punch that split the skin. The crowd gasped, some chanting Kaito's name, sensing an upset. The Rock staggered, wiping the blood, but his grin never faltered. "That's your best shot," he taunted, circling. "My grandma hits harder." The taunt enraged Kaito, who rushed in, aiming for a takedown. But the Rock's wrestling instincts kicked in. He sprawled, stuffing the attempt, and flipped Kaito onto his back with a thud. The arena erupted as the Rock mounted Kaito, his massive frame pinning the fighter. He rained down punches, controlled but heavy, each one landing with a sickening thud. Kaito bucked, his face twisting in panic. But the Rock's weight was a mountain. "You wanted this," the Rock said, his voice low, almost calm. "You brought my family into it. Now you pay." The referee hovered, watching Kaito's defenses crumble. The fighter managed to slip out, scrambling to his feet, his breaths ragged. The first round ended, and the fighters retreated to their corners. Kaito's team swarmed him, barking instructions, while the Rock, alone, splashed water on his face, his eyes never leaving his opponent. He glanced at his family, giving Lauren a nod that said, "I'm still here." She mouthed, "I love you," her face a mix of fear and pride. Round 2 began, and Kaito came out desperate. He knew he'd underestimated the Rock, and his pride was on the line. He feinted, then launched a head kick, aiming to end it. The Rock ducked, the kick grazing his shoulder, and seized the moment. He charged, tackling Kaito to the ground with a force that shook the cage. The crowd was on its feet, the noise deafening, sensing the impossible. On the mat, the Rock transitioned to full mount, his strength overwhelming. Kaito thrashed, but the Rock was a force of nature, methodically working for an armbar. "Tap, kid," the Rock said, his voice steady. "Or I break it." Kaito's face contorted, his ego battling the pain. The referee leaned in, ready to stop it. With seconds left, Kaito's hand slapped the mat, a desperate tap-out. The arena exploded. The Rock released the hold, standing tall, his chest heaving, blood and sweat dripping to the canvas. Kaito rolled away, his head bowed, the weight of his words and defeat crushing him. The Rock didn't gloat. He walked to the cage's edge, pointing to Lauren, Jasmine, and Tiana, blowing them a kiss. The crowd chanted, "Rock, Rock, Rock," their voices shaking the arena. The announcer rushed in, his voice trembling with awe. "Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment that will go down in history, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has defeated Kaito, the Blade Tanaka, by submission." Fans wept. Others filmed, knowing they'd witnessed a miracle. Lauren stood, clapping, tears streaming down her face. Jasmine and Tiana jumped, screaming, "Daddy won." As The Rock left the cage, he knelt beside his daughters, pulling them into a bear hug. Lauren joined, her voice shaky. "You're insane, you know that." He laughed, wiping blood from his face. "Yeah, but nobody talks about my girls like that. Nobody." Backstage, Kaito approached, his swagger gone, his eyes downcast. "I crossed a line," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Your family. I was wrong. You're a warrior." He extended a hand. The Rock studied him, then shook it, his grip firm but not cruel. "You're young, Kaito. Learn from this. Respect comes before pride. But you fought like hell. The family left the arena, the Tokyo night alive around them. The Rock carried Tiana on his shoulders, Jasmine holding his hand, Lauren by his side. The fight video went viral before they reached their hotel, trending worldwide with headlines like The Rock shocks MMA world and Hollywood star humiliates pro fighter. Hex posts called it the greatest underdog story ever, with fans debating if The Rock could go pro. At the hotel, the family gathered in their suite, the girls buzzing with questions. "Did it hurt, Daddy?" Jasmine asked, touching the bandage on his cheek. He chuckled, pulling her close. "A little, but it's worth it to show that guy what's what." Tiana climbed onto his lap, her voice serious. "You're the strongest, Daddy. Stronger than anybody." Lauren sat beside him, her hand on his knee. "You scared me tonight," she admitted. "But I'm proud of you. You stood up for us." He kissed her, his voice soft. "Always will, babe. Always." As the girls drifted to sleep, The Rock stood by the window, staring at the city. The adrenaline still coursed through him, the roar of the crowd echoing in his mind. He'd proven something tonight, not just to Kaito, not just to the world, but to himself. He wasn't just a star, a brand, a myth. He was a man, a husband, a father. And when it came to his family, there was no cage he wouldn't step into, no fight he wouldn't win. The next morning, his phone buzzed with offers, UFC contracts, reality show pitches, even a call from Dana White. He ignored them all, taking his girls to a sumo wrestling match instead. But deep down, a spark lingered. The world had seen a new Rock, and he couldn't shake the thought. What if he did it again?